At round 3 of the Geico Motorcycle AMA EnduroCross Series presented by Lucas Oil, it was Tristan Hart taking the overall, holding off defending champ Colton Haker. Will Haker be able to bounce back in round 4? Find out next. And we are back with more EnduroCross action from Glen Helen. It's the Geico Motorcycle EnduroCross Championship presented by Lucas Oil. 3 rounds down, 3 to go. Colton Haker continues to lead this championship, but there's been a momentum shift. Cody Webb got a moto win at round number 3. Tristan Hart won 2 motos at round number 3 and got the overall, chipping into Colton Haker's points lead. It's going to be a battle to the finish. We're halfway through this thing, and the tensions are heating up between Haker, Hart, and Webb. Here's our Geico Motorcycle point standings. Colton Haker's got 72. 7 back is Tristan Hart. 3 back from him, Cody Webb, so 10 points separating the top 3 in this championship. Let's go on board with Destry Abbott for our EnduroCross track preview.
So here we are going a lap around the 2020 round 4 at Glen Helen into the pro sections. This is a little different. You'll see the amateurs turn there. The pros are going to have 3 K-rails here. Really technical. You can see me, I'm going to the little bit more of a dirt section up. Still really difficult. It's all about wheel tapping. This is a fun double. You can almost triple or even quad. I've seen a couple guys quad in practice. This is going to be one of the most technical sections of the track and some of the best racing, because it's going to be about momentum getting through these rocks. Especially you'll see those top guys standing. You'll see some riders double. I single, double. I could have jumped down to that downside. This is one of the most interesting sections we've ever had, is jumping a K-rail over a complete another K-rail into another K-rail. And now this is where a lot of those pros are going to take a deep breath, because this EnduroCross racing isn't easy, especially when you get to a matrix section, which is another technical section, riding up on those feet, riding on those toes of the pegs. We're going to get around this right-hander, one of the easier sections, more fun for me, flowy, because you can actually relax. You can sit down here, kind of like motocross, supercross, fun booter over the pipe jump. And now we're getting ready to wheel tap on top of those tires over a log. Now if I can, I want to jump all the way into that firewood pit, double down, and then hit that finish for round 4 of the EnduroCross series at Glen Helen.
Thank you, Destry. The track is similar to what it was at round number 3. A couple changes, obviously, with the tractor work here and there, but daytime qualifying was good earlier today. A lot of speed from the top riders. Colton Haker a little off the pace. But we got a 3-moto format with Olympic scoring, so the least combined points will win you the overall. And Colton Haker, this is going to be a tough day for him, but he can pull it off. Let's go to our Geico Motorcycle pre-race report with Kristen Beat.
Colton Haker's lower back injury could be a determining factor in his performance. He told me this morning he visited a kinesiologist to work out some of the tension, but he has been battling this injury since round 2, where he aggravated his L8 with a tumble in the rock section. Today he struggled in qualifying, tipping again in that rock section. He said there's no way to really treat that injury at the track. You just have to ride through it and hope adrenaline will take over. Daniel, in a normal season, these guys have plenty of time to rehab in between rounds, but not this year. Colton Haker is working with what he has. He qualified 5th, so 5th gate pick for the defending champion, Colton Haker.
Thank you, Chris. And Colton Haker is a racer. He will find a way to make sure he is competitive, and I have no doubt that he'll be able to fight through this nagging injury. 6 minutes plus 1 lap here in Moto 1. A lot of momentum for Tristan Hart, getting the overall at the last round of action. You have to imagine that he is fired up and ready to go here at round number 4. Would like to double down, get another one. Not only for the daily confidence that he's building, but for the championship hopes. He's 7 down right now. He needs to win and close that gap on Colton Haker. This might be the opportunity he's been looking for. The riders are ready. The revs are up. The gate will go down, and we're underway with EnduroCross round number 4 from Glen Helen. The foxhole shot, not even close. Tristan Hart gets it, and he had it right out of the gate. He jumped out, moved over, controlled the line, and if he can protect this inside from Colton Haker, he does. He will establish himself as the clear front runner in Moto number 1. Colton Haker second. Where is Cody Webb? Didn't have the best jump out of the gate. Let's see if he was able to make some moves here on this opening lap to put himself in contention. Tristan Hart having such a great run over the last couple rounds. He's really starting to gel with that factory KTM, taking advantage of the team that is giving him the resources to compete. They step up onto the logs and off, a section that was so tough at round number 3. There's Webb right there. He's in 4th, trying to make the move on Graffender for 3rd. But Hart will control this lead over the K-rails, inside. Does he turn it tight? Yep, protects the line. Not as tight as Haker. Haker up the inside line again, fighting through that injury. Adrenaline taking over right now, and he knows if he wants to win this race and win this championship, he is gonna have to fight through the pain, take some chances when needed, because Tristan Hart is a rider who is not afraid to take chances, and those chances are starting to pay off. Over the K-rail, he doesn't step up and over, neither does Haker. At round number 3, they were popping up over the K-rail and then jumping out. A little bit of a change with the track today, of course. Every day is a little different. When the track crew gets in there, they kind of mold some things, move some dirt around, make adjustments. Gives every round a little bit of its own feel. Hart still leading. Seems very patient, too. This is a rider who is learning how to win in 2020. And the way to win is to be patient in sections when you need to, be aggressive in sections when you can. If you're Colton Haker, you got to start treating Tristan Hart a little bit differently. He is gaining confidence at a fast pace. And that's the last thing that Colton Haker wants. Let's go down to Kristen B.
Daniel, Tristan Hart's landing off the K-rail from my vantage point seems real effortless. He just kind of floats to the ground. Colton's, on the other hand, is more abrupt. You can actually hear the rear end of the bike snap. It seems to dance a little bit more as well. Daniel, why is that?
Well, Kristen, I'm thinking with Colton Haker right now and the injury that he is facing and having to deal with, that he's having to hold on a lot tighter, not allowing himself to kind of be loose and flow. So it's probably making these harder landings, these harder takeoffs tough on him, and he's just holding on tight, you know, to keep his body in check. That's my guess. And for him, I mean, that's the challenge he's going to have to face probably throughout the rest of this championship with this abbreviated schedule. Everything is congested. The races, they don't have a week off in between each race to recover. So what he's going to have to do is just tough it out and just adjust. And that's why you're a champion. You have to be able to make changes when you're forced to. Colton Haker, I have no doubt, will be able to figure that out. Tristan Hart over the K-rail right there, kind of checks up on Haker, makes him have to lighten up just a little bit over that last K-rail. Great defensive riding right now from Tristan Hart, riding a wide bike. Now, if he could take advantage of this lap traffic and blitz through these next 3 or 4 guys here in the next straightaway or 2 and put them in between him and Haker, that might give him the space that he needs. So he could be a little bit more comfortable, but the lap traffic gets in his way. Haker now on the outside, gonna rail the berm. Great move by Hart to check him up in the corner, but Haker, such a smart racer, cuts up underneath, makes the move, brake checks him in the logs, and now the lap traffic is swarming Tristan Hart. And those are the situations where Colton Haker is really, really good. He knows how to race through traffic. We got to remember that Tristan Hart is just starting to become this front runner, so he still has a lot to learn in those situations. And I'm sure he'll watch this race back, and next time he'll know how to approach lap traffic, especially when they're coming in packs. It's one thing to go through one at a time, it's another to get 3 or 4 in one section. Very challenging, and Colton Haker has a long career of doing just that, and it pays off. He makes the move, steps up over. For a rider who I know is dealing with a lot of pain right now, he is managing it well. Little mistake right there in the rocks, actually big mistake. Here comes Tristan Hart back on him. Is he gonna be able to make the move up the inside? No, he makes a mistake himself. So the time that he was able to gain early in the rocks, he lost at the end, and now Haker seems to be safe for the time being. Over the K-rails, up the inside line, Haker continuing to attack. And now he seems to have a little bit of a space, or a little bit of a gap that is, between him and the next lap rider. He can breathe easy for about 30 seconds, and then he's gonna be back in that traffic. He's done some great work in this moto though, making that pass, and these two, the battles have been heating up. We saw it round number 3, they went back and forth, things got physical. The good thing is that both seem to like it. They both race that way. They're not afraid to get physical, get aggressive. You saw them after the race, little knuckle punch, both appreciating the other's effort. This is a battle that I think is going to be forming, and I think it's going to develop over the years. Colton Haker, again, not afraid to race that way. Tristan Hart says, hey, that's how it works for him. That's how it's going to work for me. Here's Cody Webb now joining the picture, and Colton Haker's going to spin out and go down all on his own. And I have to wonder if that injury is starting to play a role. Late in this first moto, Tristan Hart says, hey, I'll take advantage of it. The situation is what it is. We're all dealing with our own issues. I just got to race, and he's going to race himself back up into the lead. And time is running out in Moto 1. Haker is going to be able to make another charge. Haker's going to have to be careful because Cody Webb was coming. So the battle might end up being for second and not for the lead for Tristan Hart. Managing this race very well. Again, dealing with the pressure from Haker. He didn't collapse and crumble. Sometimes with the younger riders, when they lose the lead, they'll self-destruct, make mistakes, and Hart learning how to win races in 2020. Everybody saw this coming. At round number 3, he was able to win 2 of the 3 motos, and now he's on his way to winning another one if he can close out this final lap. Haker, of course, not done. Keeping him in check, keeping him honest. This is the section that's been tough for everybody. If he can get through this and up this little uphill right here, I think he'll be, oh, look at Haker right there, makes a mistake in the K-rail. He's gonna lose some time. Now Hart makes a mistake, and Hart doesn't know that Haker has lost all that time, so a little bit of a panic right there to get back on track. When in reality, he's got quite a big lead on this final lap. He'll be able to coast it on in for another moto win. That would be 3 of the last 4. Been a major shift in momentum at the top of this championship. Hart jumps off, jumps the finish line, grabs the checkered flag, and moto number 1 will go to the Red Bull KTM rider. Here comes Cody Webb getting second, staying consistent. Colton Haker is going to look back on this one and go, what happened? A lot of mistakes, uncharacteristically. He'll still finish 3rd, put himself in position to get the overall, but he's going to have to clean it up in motos 2 and 3 if he wants to get it done here today at Glen Helen. It's Hart, Webb, Haker, Abbott, Graffender rounding out the top 5. Let's head down to the podium with our Kristen Beach. She's got Tristan Hart.
Tristan Hart and Colton Haker with a heated battle in that moto. Tristan, you were able to capitalize on Colton's mistakes, a game of cat and mouse throughout that entire race. Finally, he was hung up on the K-rail and you were able to kind of escape that battle. But during the heat of that battle, what were you telling yourself to keep yourself calm while being challenged so aggressively, mind you, by Colton Haker?
Yeah, I was just trying to stay smooth and consistent. Colton was definitely faster than me, but they made it a little harder tonight, so you have to be consistent. And Colton, I think, was going a little over his head, and he made a couple mistakes, and I came in for the win. So hopefully keep it consistent for the rest of the night and be right up front.
Tristan, the storyline this season is your performance and the elevation of that performance. We saw that heated exchange, the aggression going into the Matrix. How has that evolved you as a rider?
It's what you got to do if you want to be at the front. You can't let the bullies push you around, and that's just all part of it. You got to push back once in a while.
We'll see you in Moto 2. Good luck.
Thank you.
Tristan Hart is maturing before our eyes. When we come back, we sit down with the Red Bull KTM rider. The 2020 AMA EnduroCross Series is brought to you by Geico Motorcycle and by Lucas Oil. And we're back with more AMA EnduroCross from Glen Helen Raceway. A tough and challenging track. Let's go down for our Lucas Oil track report with our Kristen Beat.
Thanks, Daniel. What looks to be a manageable K-rail section becomes more challenging as the race progresses. I just spoke with Cody Webb, and he told me his arms get tight because if you watch these motos, riders will start off by jumping the K-rail section, but then as fatigue sets in, they'll start climbing it like a normal K-rail section. That fatigue sets in, it's harder to hold on to the handlebars, so this section requires a lot of physical management, being able to know your body and know its strengths. Also, I spoke with Cooper Abbott about how to get over this K-rail section. He said, know exactly where you're going, look past where you're going even, but don't look where you don't want to go. He said the moment that you lose your concentration in this section, it's all downhill from there. So a few tips from the pros on how to get through this second K-rail section tonight.
A very challenging section. Tristan Hart figured it out very well in moto number 1. We had a chance to sit down with the rising star earlier.
At round 3 of the AMA EnduroCross series, I secured my first overall victory, which is a pretty big deal. I've been second and third to Cody and Colton so many times now, and to get my first win in between them feels good while they're at the top of their games. It definitely feels good to beat Colton straight up, I guess straight up as it can be, because in EnduroCross anything can happen. I'm sure I could have won a race before if not for something else happening, so it's just being at the right place at the right time and making sure everything comes together. This year the biggest difference has been confidence, I would say. I'm just finally old enough and I've learned a lot from my mistakes, and I think mentally I'm just all there and I'm ready to finally fight for wins, and I think that was the biggest difference. And getting on factory KTM definitely didn't hurt. It only helped to the confidence that I'd already gained. Being on factory KTM frees up a lot of time. I got so much time I don't even know what to do anymore. Like, I don't have to work on bikes, I don't have to worry about showing up and setting the whole pits up. My mechanic and the whole KTM team looks after everything, so it just frees up a lot of time and I can focus on what I have to now. I realized I got Cody and Colton shaken because normally me and Colton would be allowed to ride together, and Colton told the team manager I'm not allowed to ride with him anymore, so I knew that I'm doing good. It feels good. It feels good to have them worried, I think. That's pretty cool. I never thought that it would happen, but now that it's happened, it's cool that they're worried about me. I sleep well at night knowing that. Now at round 4, I'm just a little more comfortable doing racing because it's been so long since we've actually raced like this, and it's so intense. And maybe the first round I had a little jitters and the intensity wasn't fully there, and now that's all out the window. It's just full on 100%. So the plan for the rest of the series is to beat Colton. That's pretty much all I can do at this point, and I got to make sure he's behind me at all times, far enough too, or else he's going to be hitting me again. I've always kind of been a nice guy, I would say, and getting pushed around all the time just sucks. So sometimes you just want to put your foot down and say that enough's enough, and I've had enough and it's time to give some of it back.
Well, over the last 2 races, we've seen a whole lot of that from Tristan Hart. Moto number 2 is coming up next. Welcome back to San Bernardino, California, where we are watching round 4 of the AMA EnduroCross Championship. This track has been so tough today for these riders. So we're going to go down with another Lucas Oil track report with our Kristen Beat.
Daniel, this rock section has claimed quite a few bikes as the day has progressed. When I spoke with some of the riders, I asked them, why is this rock section so much more technical than it was at round 3? And they told me the track is starting to deteriorate. Generally in a rock section, you want things to be as even as possible, so the rocks are just barely protruding from the dirt. But tonight, there's valleys and there's straights and there's all these different pathways to choose, and it's changing every single moto. So riders have to select new lines in this section as the day progresses, making it even more challenging for even some of the top guys like Colton Haker, Cody Webb, and Tristan Hart.
Well, Kristen, these riders think they got the track figured out. They're getting comfortable. They're like, okay, I got this thing. But then it starts deteriorating, and all of a sudden you got to change lines and start all over. And that's what makes EnduroCross so challenging. It's a 6-minute plus 1 lap moto. This is moto number 2. It's an inverted gate. So the top riders are in the back row for the start. Makes things very exciting on the opening lap. Here's our Geico motorcycle starting grid. You'll see Lewis on the top. You'll see Hart on the bottom. He had 16th gate pick. That's how we reward these guys. You win the race, you go back row on the far outside for moto number 2, because we want to see some exciting racing, and here we go. 30-second board is up. The riders are getting ready to go, ready to battle it out for moto 2 of 3. You got to put together 3 solid motos if you want the overall in EnduroCross with that Olympic scoring. The least amount of points wins you the overall. Here we go, revs up, gate goes down. Moto number 2 is underway. It's Daniel Lewis who gets the foxhole shot and leads the way. I look back, I see Hart up the inside. Riders go down, who's gonna be affected? There's Haker. Haker is stuck behind the riders that fell. I think that's Palmer that goes down. Webb was down too. He was stuck behind him as well. So if you're Tristan Hart, you're in the best position you could have asked for. Your competition is down in the rocks. But where is Hart? He looked to be around 5th or 6th going to the rocks. I see Graffender. And Hart is now behind Haker, right in front of Webb, so all three of the heavy hitters stuck way back in the field. Oh, Lewis almost goes over the bars right there. This is going to be a battle up front in this opening lap. And if you're Corey Graffner, you got to look at this opportunity for what it is. You got the heavy hitters in the back. You have a chance to right now get into the lead and get some space. If you can make the move, he's going to get by one. He's got Lewis right there in second. The 22 of Riordan in the lead makes a mistake. Graffner up the inside line. And that Yamaha 250 is going to take over the lead. Just in the back of your screen, you see Webb, you see Hart. There's Haker, who has now made his way into the top three. He might be in the lead by the end of this lap. And that would be incredible because he was down, stuck in the rocks right off the start. And through the first 3 rounds of this championship, the top riders were able to make their way through the field very fast. But here today, not so much. Graffner makes a little bit of a mistake, slides out. Here comes Haker on the right. Doubles up, rolls through, doubles up over the top. And your defending champ has taken the lead, and he needs to respond huge in Moto number 2. The first Moto he was leading and made a bunch of mistakes, went down on his own twice. Finished in 3rd, but now has the opportunity to make up the difference in Moto 2, which would put him in a great spot for Moto 3 to grab the overall. You see Webb back there. Where's Hart? Hart's in about 6th. Cooper Abbott inside the top 5. Now Colton Haker in the first 2 rounds of this championship, once he got out front, he was untouchable. But at round 3, a couple different times had the lead and made mistakes. And you have to imagine if that injury to his back and the way he's having to ride his bike is playing a role. Here comes Cody Webb, now up to 3rd. Looking for a way around Graffner up the inside line. If you want to make a move right there, you can, but then you can't step up and over. So Webb patiently makes the move into 2nd, now through the K-rails. It was a great lap for Cody Webb, made the moves he needed, but he's got a lot of space to make up if he wants to make a run at the defending champ, Colton Haker. Let's go down to Kristen Beat with more on the number 2 machine.
When I spoke with Cody Webb earlier in the day, he said, I'm a second off Colton still, and it's not the bike. I need to man up and do it. Cody Webb is the first person to take accountability when his program is off. It seems as though he's making little strides to improve it.
Well, Kristen, that's why he's a champion. Some riders, they can't take the blame. They point to the bike, they point to the track, they point to everything except themselves. But when you have these riders at the top of the class that have been successful, one of the biggest things that they learn along the way is you got to take blame for your own mistakes. And that's why Cody Webb has improved so much throughout this championship. He's looking in the mirror and finding ways that he can improve, and that's when the real improvements will come. Don't go anywhere. We got to finish up Moto number 2 from EnduroCross when we return. Welcome back. Round number 4 of the AMA EnduroCross Championships from Glen Helen Raceway. Cody Webb sitting in 2nd place right now, trying to close the gap on Colton Haker. A lap ago, they were about the same distance apart. Both riders putting in solid, consistent laps. But Webb's gonna have to do something to close that gap if he wants to win this moto. Instead of stepping up right there, he rolls and then kind of jumps into the logs. You can see these riders making changes to their line choice and the way they approach these obstacles. The track is breaking down. Here comes Tristan Hart. And we know this guy's gonna send it, no question. Won the first moto, and he would love to get another overall win, but right now, a 1-3 would put him still in contention, but not in control of that overall. Let's go to Kristen Beat with more on the number 84.
When I walked over to talk with Tristan Hart today, he was actually doing yoga. He was stretching his body out. This is something I never saw him do in seasons past. You can just tell his entire program has been elevated by joining the factory KTM team. He's taking more a stride and effort towards improving his body and his program on and off the track. You can just see the maturity of his program as well as we watch him race aggressively. We're watching him change how he used to race to be competitive with guys like Colton and Cody. Just everything about his program is completely different here in 2020.
Well, Kristen, it's a maturing process as an individual. He's obviously going to learn things along the way, and one of the ways you learn things is by putting good people around you. And for him, again, a privateer racer, you're sometimes on your own. You're having to learn from just the experience of being out there, but now he's got people in his corner. Of course the KTM guys are going to give him a good engine. Of course they're going to give him good suspension. But it's the winning experience that team has. They're in his ear telling him, hey, try this, do this. Try that. Maybe this will improve this part of your program. And when you have people like that in your team and in your ear, that's when real improvements come, and we've seen that so far during this 2020 race season. Tristan Hart now in third, trying to close the gap. Cody Webb would be the next rider that he could pass if he could get to him. But you can see right there in the screen, Haker and Webb have somewhat checked out on Hart in this last lap. There might be a battle brewing at the front. Webb was about 5 seconds down, and he has closed that gap over the last lap and a half. And Tristan Hart sits alone in third. Had a pretty strong start from the back row, but had a really tough first lap and lost all the gains that he may have made on the competition early. With the white flag out, he might have to settle for third. I'll tell you who's not settling is the number 2 of Cody Webb. He is now on the back tire of Colton Haker. These two have had so many great battles throughout their career. They know each other well. They know each other's tendencies. And if you're Cody Webb right now, you got about a half a lap to make a move. And you know that Haker's going to be very fast in the motocross sections, the flat spots, some of these easier doubles, but when you get into the K-rails, you get into the logs, that might be his opportunity. But now he's got lap traffic in the way. Can he make the move? Look at that, wheel taps in, wheel taps pops over. He is close, but he's going to have to be closer if he wants to make a move. 2 corners to go. And unless Haker makes a big mistake, he's not going to be able to make the move. Haker up the inside, doubles up, nope, rolled up. They've both changed to that line. He's gonna jump off, grab the checkered flag, and a great ride for Colton Haker to hold on. And he is now back in position to get the overall. Look at these points. A 3-1 from Haker, a 2-2 from Webb, and a 1-3 from Hart. As we look at the Geico Motorcycle Moto 2 results, it's a runoff again in Moto number 3. These guys, hey, they love to entertain you guys by taking it to the very last moto each day. Here's Kristen Beat with the winner.
Colton Haker walking away with this Moto 2 win. Colton, it seems as though on this track, you either have it or you don't. And in that moto, you definitely had it. But I know you're working through a lot of adversity today with your back and the lower back injury that you've been dealing with. How did you feel out there? And also take us through that Moto 1 that you had, because I know it was hard getting back on the line and having to work through so much traffic.
Yeah, I know the first moto I got into the lead and then just missed the rear brake and pushed the corner after the rocks. So just kind of cost me there, and then just kind of failed to make the K-rails next lap. So went back to third, didn't really need that one, but it always kind of works itself out. So this one had a little bit of a better gate position, I felt like, than my competitors. And then didn't really come out of the rocks very good, but somehow it came out better than my competitors. So ultimately, stoked to get the win in this one, but want to get it done tonight.
Daniel, all 3 riders in the top 3 in points once again tied going into Moto 3.
If Haker wants to win his 3rd overall this season, he better perform in Moto 3. Coming up next. Great racing so far from Glen Helen Raceway. Hey, it's round number 4 of the AMA EnduroCross Championships. I'm Daniel Blair. Kristen Beat joining me today. And we're going to head down to Kristen with our Geico Motorcycle pre-race report.
The top 3 riders in the points standings now tied moving into Moto 3 for the overall on the day. Daniel, my pick, Tristan Hart. We spoke earlier in the day, and this has really been a breakthrough season for the KTM rider after taking his first overall win at round 3. We discussed that elevation of his program, but no celebrating for the 23-year-old Canadian. He said, no one cares about 1 overall. I have to back it up. Today, Tristan is aiming towards the validation of another overall win. Daniel, you and I have discussed this. It's one thing to take 1 overall win, but to back it up in consecutive motos, no less, or consecutive days, that's huge, and that's what Tristan Hart is aiming for in this moto, to go ahead and get the overall and back up and validate that first overall win that he scored at round 3.
Well, Kristen, it's a little deja vu, because at the 3rd round of the championship, Webb, Haker, and Hart all went into the final moto tied with 4 points. Today, all 3 riders, 4 points again. So the winner of this race will take the overall. And Tristan Hart, we saw what he did at round number 3. He was clutch. He closed it out, got the first overall of the season. So he's been in this situation before. Can he do it again? This is gonna be a fight. These guys have been teasing us all day, battling back and forth, but this is the one that counts. 6 minutes plus 1 lap to decide who is the winner at round number 4, and who's most importantly going to carry the momentum in this championship into the final 2 rounds here at Glen Helen. Haker, Webb, Hart, 1, 2, 3 on the leaderboard. There's Abbott. He's had a consistent day so far. Max Gersten running top 5. There's Corey Graffender, 6th. And I expect this one to be a fight. Hart likes to fight. Haker likes to fight. Cody Webb likes to fight. All 3 of these guys have been in this situation before, and they know how to close. But only one of them is going to come out victorious today. 30-second board is up. It's going to turn to 5. And you'll hear those bikes rev up. And the gate will drop, and we'll get it on. Moto number 3 from Glen Helen. Let's do this thing. Fox hole shot's going to go to Tristan Hart. And if you want to win the race, the first thing you got to do is get off the gate. And he does it. There's Cooper Abbott in 2nd. Hager goes by him on the outside, cuts across into 2nd. Where is Cody Webb? He's right there in the top 5, and Tristan Hart goes down. Tristan Hart, he's down hard. Somewhat slow to get up. He raises the visor, and Colton Haker takes the lead. And if you are Haker right now, you are very aware of the situation. You know that Tristan Hart, who has been bringing a lot of speed the last 2 rounds, was on the ground. You don't got to worry about him. You got to worry about Cody Webb, who's sitting in 2nd right now. Webb's been a little bit off the pace today speed-wise, but he is a multi-time champion in this sport. He knows how to be in these situations and how to come out victorious. And this could be a battle to the end. Haker, Webb, Abbott, Gersten, Graffender, your top 5. And Tristan Hart, you see him on the leaderboard, back in 11th. The shadows are going to come into play as well. Daytime racing has its own set of variables. Of course, the track will change throughout the day because of the moisture in the soil. But there's going to be some shadows in some of the spots in this track. And if you're in the technical parts of the track, that could be very difficult to navigate if you can't see your line clearly. Both riders electing to take the far right. I love the way Webb comes into that section, wheels up in, pops up over. Both these riders know what is at stake, an overall finish, an overall win. And for Cody Webb, he now has a moto win on the season, but he does not have an overall just yet. He'd like to get one here today. He's 10 points down in the championship. If he can win this race, it'd be a 3-point gain. 25 points for 1st overall, 22 points for 2nd, and 20 for 3rd. So he could be going into round number 5 only down 7 or down 13. He knows how important this race is. That's why he's going up the inside right now. He's going to try to make the move. Hager makes a mistake. Webb up the inside. Block pass, makes the move. What a move from Cody Webb. And we have talked about it at length in this championship. Webb dealing with a torn ACL in 2019, missed the season. Says he's about 90% right now. We've seen him multiple times in this series plant that leg, so he knows it's strong enough to handle the elements. Also dealing with a change in manufacturer. Took a leap of faith, went to Team Sherco. Very happy with the team so far. He was on a 2-stroke for most of the offseason. Switched to the 4-stroke right before the season started. It's been a work in progress. Looks like everything might be coming together right at the right time. Webb starting to pull away a little bit. A great lap for him, and look at the gap back to 3rd. And for Tristan Hart, that's a good thing. He can make his way into 3rd and salvage some points. He won't get the overall here today, but he can still keep himself in the running for the title. Comes down to awareness right now. Colton Hager knows a 2nd overall is okay on the day, but a 1st overall is better, and he's going to get him right back where Webb got him. And that's what makes these guys so special. They learn, and they learn quick. A lap ago, Webb made the move right in that corner. Hager says, you know what? I saw what you did. I'm going to do it back to you. That's what makes these guys so great in this sport. To be so disciplined, so patient, so focused to navigate tracks like this. Just riding them is difficult in itself, but being able to think on the fly and react like that and make battles and make passes, it's a learned art. No question, these guys at one point in their career, they were young, they made mistakes. But they have both polished their game, and that's why they are number 1 and number 2 in this series. And now Webb will go back to work. And if you're Cody Webb right now, you have to be looking ahead at the lappers and saying, okay, if I can get close, I'll try to make a run when things tighten up, because we know lap traffic can cause havoc. We saw it with Colton Haker. Had a lap rider in those rocks take him down. The problem for Webb, though, is he has lost a little bit of ground to Haker on that laps, and Haker's been able to get through the lap traffic. 4 riders on this lap alone without much hiccup. So although Webb puts down solid laps, Haker was just a little bit quicker that lap, pulls away. And he's gonna have to either hope for a mistake or find some time here late in this race. Solid moto so far, but solid's not gonna cut it. We need more if we want the overall. Colton Haker taking the necessary chances and risks to pull away. Over the K-rail, inside, over the second one. Tight corner, over the third. You see the ruts that have formed in the K-rails. When the track is smooth, it's difficult enough. And here we go through the rocks. Lap rider in his way, he's patient. Trying something a little bit different. Lapper goes down, he makes the pass on one, gets the second one. And if Cody Webb's strategy was to hope for a lap rider to get in the way, it hasn't worked so far. Haker's made his way through, but there's Webb, has kind of closed the gap this lap. So maybe it slowed him down just enough. And the lap rider is in his line. Haker's been taking that far right. The number 17 machine of Wilton in his line. Haker, no issues. Gets by, up the inside and over the tires. Very disciplined in this race. Not letting anything change his trajectory, change his line. He's handled everything that Moto3 has thrown at him. Hart had the whole shot with 1 lap to go. Hart is now up to 3rd, good ride for him. We look at the leaderboard, we see Gersten 4th, Graffner 5th, Abbott in 6th in a battle amongst themselves, but the battle is now up front, and Cody Webb is still in this thing. 3/4 of a lap to go. He's got himself in position to make a run. Both riders executing the rocks perfectly. Steps up, steps over. If Haker can get through the K-rails and these logs and these next 2 straightaways, he might be in the clear. Perfect execution there. Takes that far right line. Wheels up in 3. Doubles over, doubles out. Clean run for Colton Haker. And barring anything crazy, he might have this one in the bag. 2 more corners. There's the left over the pipe. Takes that inside line, very patient. He's gonna roll up into these logs. Yep, rolls in, jumps off, checkered flag waving, and with a 3-1-1 moto score, you see the excitement right there. He knew how important this race was and the challenges that he faced when the day started. Colton Haker comes through and gets the overall. You see the sigh of relief. This was a big one. We look back after 6 rounds of championship fighting. We might look at round number 4 as the one that got him the title. Because after moto number 1, this thing was trending backwards for Colton Haker, and he responds with 2 moto victories. And he will grab the overall. He knows how important this race was. What a ride for Colton Haker. Cody Webb in 2nd, then it's Hart, Gersten, Graffender rounding out the top 5. And what could have been a big swing backwards for Colton Haker is going to end up benefiting him huge. He's going to pull away in these championship points. And he is sucking the life out of this title for Cody Webb and Tristan Hart with a performance like that. What a ride. And we'll hear from him when we return. The 2020 AMA EnduroCross Series is brought to you by Geico Motorcycle and by Kicker Living Loud. Welcome back to AMA EnduroCross. Tristan Hart won the opening moto of the day, but in moto number 3 had a fall in the opening lap that cost him a shot at the overall, but he still ends up on the podium, and he's with our Kristen Beat.
Tristan Hart coming up short on that uphill double. Tristan, that looks like it hurt. I know you were saying that you're in a little bit of pain right now, but a right shoulder injury, you fell on it again. How are you feeling? And what can you take away from that 3rd moto being able to salvage 3rd overall on the day?
Yeah, I got the whole shot and everything was looking good, and I just made a mistake and went over the bars and landed on my bad shoulder, and I ended up coming back to third, but the top two guys were long gone, so didn't matter. P3 for the day. I'd like to thank FMF, KTM, Red Bull, and everyone for cheering me on.
Thank you so much.
Solid day of racing for Cody Webb. He goes 2-2-2 for second overall.
Cody Webb was so close to closing in on his first overall win of the season. Cody, during that moto, just managing mistakes, those small mistakes, being able to see what worked and what didn't work. When you were in the rock section, how were you able to kind of recover from that fumble and still give Colton a run for his money?
Yeah, it was a good run, and I felt like Colton and I were literally matching speed lap after lap, and I had about half the track where I knew I was faster, and he had another half where he pulled me a little bit. So, at the end of the day, we're like running same exact lap times, and through the rocks, I was taking a little bit different line today just because I didn't want to follow him, and the lap before I passed him, he bobbled a little bit, and I had a chance, but I'm like, it's too early. I just want to pressure him and hopefully have him make a bigger mistake, and the next lap, he made another mistake right there, so I just went in on the inside there and led about a lap or two, and with him, I just know I want to protect every inside. I don't know what he's going to be up to, and so I went far right in the rocks. It's maybe a little bit better line, but it's a lot riskier, and I bobbled coming out of there and let him get on the inside of me, and from there, I just really buckled down, and I definitely was a lot looser on the bike tonight. I think because the track was more tech. You got to be kind of a little bit more loose on the bike, and last night I was a little bit jumpier and we're hitting stuff so hard. I think I was just riding. I was kind of holding on for my dear life. So last night I battled bad with arm pump, and tonight I rode like I knew how to ride, and I felt like another lap there I could have been able to have him, but I did all I could, and it was just good to see progression, and looking forward to the last two rounds.
So is it safe to say you feel closer to the top step of the podium at this point?
Yeah, no, I think definitely with the track change, I just was more comfortable out there, and the 300 SCF's awesome bike, and it was really good tonight and a little bit more tech stuff, so that made my life a little bit easier, and I think it showed in the results. I was just riding looser and enjoying myself.
Congratulations, well done on second overall. Daniel?
Thank you, Kristen. A gritty ride for Colton Hager dealing with the adversity of the injury, but he comes out victorious.
After an error on the exit from the rock section, you surrendered the lead to Cody Webb, but once again earned it back. You really had to work for that one, Colton, but then again you were able to check out towards the end of that moto. What was going through your mind when you had to outrace Cody Webb to earn this overall?
Man, honestly, Cody was on it that race. He's just been getting progressively better each round. I think the new bike caught him off guard a little bit, so he's stepping it up every moto, honestly. And the track's gotten like a little more technical almost every moto too. So yeah, he was on his game that time. It was just little things that made the difference. So stoked to not make the last mistake and get the win.
It's interesting you say that, not make the last mistake, because when you guys are so tight and so close, it is about making mistakes. How do you manage those mistakes when they do happen?
You just do your best, you can only, that's all you can do. So, yeah, he kind of gave it to me in the rocks. He just fumbled really bad at the end, and by that time I was just kind of getting into my groove and just nailing my line. So, just kept it together. He hounded me pretty much the whole moto, so it was well earned.